You mentioned earlier that you saw Julian kill someone. What was that about? Tell me. Chloe's eyes darted away. I was scared out of my wits. I can't remember clearly, and I stepped on her foot again. Chloe finally gave in. All right, young master. Let me try to remember. As we continued our push and pull, neither of us knew that just off the dance floor, Julian was silently watching us. The ball ended surprisingly smoothly. Perhaps because I provided cover, she managed to go undetected for once. For the first time, she wasn't thrown out, but left in style with the main crowd. Julian and I also returned to the Astor estate. My parents and the 3 Astor sisters were all sitting on the sofa, as if they had been deliberately waiting for us. Ethan and Julian are back. Did you have a good time today? Of course, the question was mainly directed at me. I smiled and nodded. It was very interesting. They nodded in satisfaction and gestured for me to sit with them. As we talked, the conversation eventually turned to my past. Unable to find any information, they finally gave in to their curiosity and concern and asked me directly. I just smiled faintly and answered vaguely, "Why don't we wait for a better time to talk about it slowly? I'm afraid if I tell you everything at once, you won't be able to handle it." The hall fell into a dead silence. In the few seconds after I spoke, the Astors had already imagined 1,000 tragic scenarios I might have endured in the slums. They felt a warmth in their hearts. After so many years of suffering, I held no resentment towards them. Instead, I was considerate of their feelings, worried they wouldn't be able to bear the guilt and worry. What a good boy! They were all deeply moved, and after a few more words of concern, they sent me to my room to rest. Then, they turned to Julian to reconfirm my account of the day's party. He spoke with a hint of sarcasm. "Ethan still isn't being completely honest with you." The others immediately sat up straight. Julian said, "Ethan and that girl from the Sterling family seem to be getting along quite well. They were dancing together at the ball, a detail he conveniently left out." My father was shocked. "That Sterling girl is back? And she managed to get into your event? Why didn't you stop her?" Julian was indeed a bit annoyed. "She spent 3 years messing around abroad and picked up a few tricks. I just couldn't stop her in time, and she slipped through." My father said angrily, "Even so, you can't let her get close to your brother. Ethan is too naive. He's the easiest type for a girl like that to manipulate." Julian replied, "It's impossible to guard against everything. Besides, there's no need to deliberately stop her. What if Ethan likes her? Wouldn't the marriage alliance take our families to the next level? Isn't this what the Astors and Sterlings have been waiting for?" That might be true, but the Astors still found it hard to accept. My mother pressed for more details. "How did they suddenly get together?" Chloe announced it in front of everyone. It sounded plausible. Julian then recounted Chloe's heartfelt confession to me for them. The whole family looked grim. Finally, my eldest sister, Serafina, spoke. "Let's wait and see. That Sterling girl may be unreliable, but she's never been so public about her feelings for a guy before. Maybe she's actually serious this time." My mother nodded. "You're right, we'll have to observe her. Even if she is the future heir of the Sterling family. Vivian, when you have time, try to sound her out." Vivian pouted. "Why me? I'm busy too." She really didn't want to deal with Chloe. The head of the family made the final call. "When it comes to socializing and having fun, you're better at it than your older sister, aren't you?" "It's settled." He then added, "And be careful with Ethan's and Julian's marriage prospects." Vivian reluctantly agreed. The next day, I woke up early, and the whole family was still there. They had deliberately waited for me to say goodbye in person, as they were leaving on a business trip and wouldn't be back for at least 2 or 3 days. They wanted to see me one last time before they left. My mother warmly invited me to breakfast, and the atmosphere at the table was exceptionally cozy. The conversation eventually drifted to Chloe, and they subtly tried to gauge my opinion of her. I frowned and spoke slowly. The whole family watched me nervously, waiting for what I would say next. Then I met their gaze, my eyes finally landing on Julian. She said she doesn't like Julian. She said he's too aggressive, and that she even saw him kill someone with her own eyes. The moment the words left my mouth, the room fell into the same dead silence as the night before. Even Mrs. Gable, standing nearby, lowered her head. Julian was furious. Damn it, how dare she slander him like that? Although it wasn't exactly slander. Which time had she seen him kill someone? Couldn't be, he rarely got his own hands dirty. The other Astors exchanged glances, unsure how to explain this fact. If they admitted it, it would shatter the image they had built in my mind and probably scare me. If they denied it, they would have to lie to me. I secretly smirked and deliberately asked each of them, "Mom, Dad, Serafina, Isabel, Vivian, Julian, is what she said true?" They looked at each other again. Then all turned to Julian, leaving it to him, the person involved, to explain. Julian got the signal from his family, slammed his hand on the table, and shot to his feet. Lies. Slander. I can't believe after 3 years, she'd defame me like this. Ethan, don't listen to her nonsense. For all we know, she spent the last 3 years in a mental hospital. You can't take her words seriously. I nodded. I had to admit, Chloe was right about one thing. Julian was indeed a bit aggressive. So, had he really killed someone and had Chloe caught him in the act? Then I watched as he calmly sat back down. As long as you understand, Ethan, let's continue eating. And so, the family, each with their own hidden thoughts, finished breakfast peacefully. Meanwhile, at the Sterling residence, the head of the family, Mr. Sterling, found fault with everything Chloe did, on the verge of flipping the dining table and telling her to get out. Before he could even open his mouth, Chloe launched into a tirade. Old man, stop looking so grim all the time. Or are you deliberately trying to make me lose my appetite and starve to death just because I'm back? How can a father be so malicious? Or are you actually my stepfather? Since we're not eating anyway, why don't we just go get a paternity test? Mr. Sterling grew angrier the more he thought about it. Why didn't you just die out there? Why did you have to come back and be an eyesore? Seeing her father was genuinely getting angry, Chloe toned it down a bit. I came back because I know you're desperate for a grandchild, and I'm here to make your wish come true, aren't I? Her words left Mr. Sterling stunned, his expression almost comical. Stop joking. What decent man would be willing to have a child with you? Even Clara, sitting beside her, looked up, her eyes filled with doubt. Chloe said, you have such a short memory for an old man. Don't we have a marriage contract with the Astor family? Isn't it time to fulfill that promise? Mr. Sterling retorted, didn't you say the Astor heir was too domineering, that marrying him would be like serving an ancestor, and that one ancestor in this family was enough? Aren't you afraid of him controlling you now? You're not worried about having to serve a husband and be managed by him. No, old man, please be more precise. I have a marriage contract with the first Astor heir. The one you were just talking about is the second. This left Mr. Sterling stunned once again. Chloe nodded. It's exactly as you think. Mr. Sterling replied, I almost forgot. Ethan just got back, and you're already setting your sights on him. Chloe admitted it openly. Mr. Sterling's interest was now genuinely piqued, and he deliberately teased her. I think Clara is much more reliable than you. Maybe we should let her handle the marriage alliance instead. Old man, can you stop working against me? Mr. Sterling snorted. Just stay out of it. I'll find you a son-in-law myself. Meanwhile, I was smiling at Julian. Julian, it's just the two of us again today. What are you busy with? He asked. What? You want to be my assistant? I nodded. I wouldn't be against it. Julian looked at me suspiciously. What can you even do? I replied. A little bit of everything. Julian clearly didn't believe me. For real. But thinking about my behavior over the past 2 days, he pressed on. Ethan, can you tell me, what did you study when you were abroad? I said, I learned all sorts of things, it's hard to say. Julian grew annoyed. You're just brushing me off. I quickly changed the subject, pointing to the side. Julian, Mr. White has been waiting over there for a while. It looks like he needs to talk to you. Are you sure you don't want to go see? Julian turned and indeed saw Mr. White. You've got sharp eyes. But how do you know he's here for me? I retorted. If not for you, then for me? Besides, I said, it looks like ... After Julian left, I wandered around on my own and saw a staff member training Caesar. When the Astor staff saw me approaching, they hurried over. Young master, it's dangerous over there. It's best if you watch from outside the training area. I waved a hand dismissively. It's fine. I'm not afraid of him. Caesar's hearing was sharp, and he turned his head to look at me. I beckoned to him as if calling a pet dog. Caesar, come here. A staff member reminded me, young master, Caesar usually only listens to Mr. White's commands. But before he could finish, Caesar took off, sprinting towards me. He looked quite fierce, as if venting his frustration at being challenged. The few staff members present were terrified. They knew Caesar was highly intelligent and aggressive, and they were afraid he would hurt me, but it was too late to intervene. Just as Caesar was about to pounce, their hearts were in their throats. Young master, get out of the way. I took a step back, then raised my leg and brought it down hard on his head, pinning him to the ground with one swift motion. I then lifted him by the scruff of his neck. You're a feisty one, aren't you? The staff members were stunned. He was subdued just like that? One of them, still worried, said, young master, maybe you should let us take him. He has a bad temper. I smiled. What a coincidence. I don't have a great temper either. They stared, dumbfounded. as Caesar let out a submissive whimper, all his earlier ferocity gone. I casually stroked his fur, and he remained completely docile. Mrs. Gable, drawn by the commotion, arrived.